Yeah.
Sir, can we take 2 minutes to
Yeah.
discuss what to do when a client walks into the office for the first time?
Yeah. Don't worry. We'll discuss. We'll discuss everything. We'll discuss. Yeah. Yeah. Today, I think I told you we're discussing the section 7 onward. 7, isn't it? I'd given you some judgments also.
Yes, sir.
Judgment also. Yeah. We'll just deal with it. What we propose to deal today, the section 7, uh, which is the occasion, cause, effect, and opportunity. ओपन करो सेक्शन 7 जरा ओपन कर लेंगे या या open your bare act and let us see this. This is a very important section. This is also more or less line with the rest guest statement under section 6. The scope of section 7 is much more uh, bigger than the role under section 6, where the statements under section 6 are recorded, which are facts forming the part of the same transaction. Here, the transaction, it will go further beyond, uh, not only the forming the part of the same transaction, but facts which are the occasion, cause, immediate or otherwise, and happening, and also the opportunity and occurrences. You read the entire section. Facts which are the occasion, number one. Fact which are the cause. Fact which are the effect, immediate otherwise. Relevant facts or facts in issue. So this section 7 is connecting not only to relevant fact, even to fact in issue, constituting the state of things. Now this is the third one, a state of things and under which it happened, how it happened, and how it afforded an opportunity for the occurrence of the transaction are relevant. So very wide section. So under section 7, the relevancy of fact to be determined by a human experience. You may say that here. What has been the effect of a particular cause, which has been a constant cause of a particular effect in the past will be the same future. Things will be clear by taking example. Now let us see the illustration. Um, if you see the illustration to the section, yes, yes, illustration. The question is whether A rob B. The question is A rob B. The fact that shortly before the robbery, B went to the fair with money in his possession and that he showed it or mentioned it, the fact he had it to third person or 11. So in a Bandra fair or some kind of a Kumbh Mela, you go, you are having currency notes in your pocket, with your friends you go, and you openly boast with the shopkeepers, मेरे पास 1 लाख रुपया है, I want to do shopping of 1 lakh, 2 lakh, then you got robbed, isn't it? And the statements made by you to the shopkeepers and immediate persons, and that person apprehended, these are all relevant how it happened things here. It's a traveling behind. Then the
Sir,
question, yeah, Pooja.
sir, how is it relevant, sir? Because you're boasting to one person and another
You
person
are
is robbing
you
you.
you are boasting, and the person who heard it, he robbed you, and from his the police has recovered the amount. Sanjana?
Okay, sir.
And
Okay.
third parties have heard about your money, and they got an idea that you are a person having money, pickpocket karo. No? That is how you got robbed. So third parties who heard it, normally it's a hearsay evidence. Yes, I heard him boasting. Yes, he's having a lot of money. Then I saw him, other person, then the shopkeeper chasing him around him. The other person may say that I saw 3, 4 people in a melee or in a kind of they were fighting together. So these all statements are relevant here with regard to the cause and effect. So the cause is here. The man had the money pronounced. The effect is that here he got robbed. That is all relevant. The question is whether A murdered B. The marks on the ground produced by struggle at near place where the murder was committed are relevant fact. So the fingerprints examination, the footmarks of a person, the when the offense has taken place, how the soil was splattered, how the man has incurred injuries, what was the position. So the all these marks are relevant here under section 8. And when the identification takes place, so you know that the police officer comes and takes fingerprints, your mask here, the footmarks are there. So they are relevant for the purpose here. They come and determine exactly it belongs to whom. Whether the footprints, whether the handprints, whether the marks of struggle, whether your clothes were soaked with the mud or with the red soil or the black soil, whichever is of the place of the occurrence. So they all will be tested, sent for scientific examination. So these are the causes and effect of the struggle, which will point out that a man, your dress is totally crumpled, you are wearing a nice suit or maybe shirt, a white shirt, it is all become red or black, tainted here. So the chemical examination which will be done will reveal here how it has happened. They will be testing the soil from where the offense has taken place. A police will come, Panchanama will take place, photography will be taken place, isn't it? So recording of the statement will take place and forensic examination will take place. So when you read a murder trial, all these things are relevant in the matter. So section 7 covers this aspect here. Then the question is whether A poison B, the state of B's health before the symptoms ascribe to poison and the habits of B known to A, which afforded an opportunity for administration of the poison are relevant. So A invites B for dinner to his place. There only two are dining. At 7:30 p.m. when he went, he was a healthy man. The wife said, my husband had no ailment. The family doctors say he's a fit man in 35 and he's a sports athlete. His condition was hale and hearty. So immediately after having dinner, his body became turned blue or red, whatever color it is. The administration of the poison, the color of the poison. The causes and effect of the poison and it became. So who administered, how administered is relevant question that he had dinner with nobody else except with A. Circumstantial evidence from the version of his wife will be substantiated from the doctor's evidence. Corroboration will take place. Scientific evidence and the poison, finding a poison in the body, these are all the causes and effect. And the person had the opportunity by inviting him to for dinner and administering poison. He had the animus, some animosity against him, some business rivalry against him. So these are relevant. So these 5 ingredients will come into play here into this. The facts being the occasion or the cause of the fact in issue are relevant fact. Facts being the effect. The facts being as having opportunity for the occurrences. Facts constituting state of thing under which they happen. And the opportunity which was afforded. Then the examples are the footprint cases. I will give the illustration, the 2 judgment of the Supreme Court. In R.M. Malkani's case, I have given you, and another, the judgment of the Supreme Court in first judgment, that is Yusuf Ali Nagari's case. Yusuf Ali Nagari's case, R.M. Malkani's case. Then Sharma's case, article whether the statements made by a person compelled witness will take it up. Now, the examples are the footprints, the injuries of the accused person, the state of things under which they happen. They are examples. Then The famous case of, I tell you, Spencer Cooper's case trial, which you'll find in the net. It's a trial for the murder body of the deceased was found in a river. The question in issue was whether she was committed suicide or by jumping into the drowning in the river or has been killed and thrown into the river. That was the issue. The stomach of the deceased contained no water. That is the finding of the expert. The prosecution wanted to adduce evidence of expert doctors to the effect that the person who dies in the water, the stomach must contain water. When a person dies in a swimming pool or in a water, normally the water remains insipid. On the other hand, the defendant tried to convince and adduce evidence before the court, uh, that a person dying in the water does not necessarily take water inside his belly. That was the question. Now, in this case, the fact and issues were number whether the deceased was killed outside and thrown into the water. That is the first issue. Number two, whether the deceased was killed outside on issue. Number, she jumped into the water or died of drowning. Whether she was thrown or she herself committed suicide. Now the evidence tried to be adduced by the parties is only to show that what is the effect of drowning on the part of the try to prove the general happening of the world that a man drowned must have water in the stomach, while other party tries to prove that a man may be drowned and still she may have water in the stomach. So these findings were the general consequences of drowning are relevant under the section 7 of the scheme. So the formation of a water or non-formation of water are relevant under section 7 because these are the cause and effect of a death here. Okay, that is how. Now I will take you straight away to prove section 7, the tape record conversations case. When you open that Yusuf Ali Nagari's case, I had given you, Ashish, that you may open it here. It's a very interesting judgment. You will come to know under the Indian Evidence Act. Yes, that is AIR 1968 Supreme Court, page number 147. Yusuf Ali Nagari versus State of Maharashtra.
Open, sir.
Yeah, open. Yes. Now, this is the judgment rendered by the Supreme Court in 19th of April 1967. This is one of the early judgments establishing whether the tape record evidence, what is the cause and effect of recording, and the conversation, whether it's admissible or not. The Supreme Court laid down certain, this is normally used under section 7 and 8 of the Evidence Act, as well as under Article 20, subclause 3 of the Constitution of India, that is a tape recording evidence, which is a illegally collected evidence. Whether a person making incriminating statement in the tape record, or whether he can be convicted or not, because you know the scheme of Article 20, subclause 3 of the Constitution of India. Now, before trying this matter, Yusuf Ali's case and Malkani's case, where tape record evidence was considered, before that, I would like to try the two old cases of the Supreme Court. Just kindly keep it on hold. One judgment of the Supreme Court, first, which went in AIR 1954 Supreme Court, that is MP Sharma versus Satish Chandra's case. Idra open kar lijiye aap. This is a 8-judge benches case where Justice Mahajan, Chief Justice, Justice Mukherjee, Justice Das, Bose, Justice Ghulam Hussain, Justice Bhagwati, Justice Jaganandan Das, and Venkatrama Iyer collectively gave a judgment here on 15th of March 1954 as regard the validity of search warrant, whether it infringes the fundamental right of the accused under Article 19(1)(f), and number two, search and seizure of a document from the accused if it amounts to infringement of a fundamental right under Article 20, subclause 3 of the Constitution of India. That is the crux of the case. Here the Supreme Court took a very broader view of the matter broader view of the matter, I'll point out to you that here, um, the expression when you open Article 20, there are Article 20, subclause 3 of the Constitution of India. Yeah, under Article 23, you know that here, no person accused of any offense shall be compelled to be a witness against himself. Now, this came up for consideration. This also has the answer is evidence which is normally accepted under the provisions of the Indian Evidence Act, both under Section 7 and 8, as well as Section 27, where recovery discovery take place. Now, broadly in this judgment, we just open here. The question which came up before the bench, before this court was this was a matter directly filed under Article 32 of the Constitution of India, a writ petition by the famous Dalmia Jain Airlines. You know that Dalmia Cement people, they had airlines known as Dalmia Jain Airlines, which was registered in Delhi. And yes,
they stopped operations very
yes,
suddenly.
in the year 1952, it happened. So, the company started functioning from the year 1946, and it went into liquidation in the year 1952. Then the investigation into the affairs of the company were ordered by the Government of India, and report of the inspector appointed under the Companies Act was ordered. Then there were offences under Section 406, 408, 409, 420, 406 were registered against the company for cheating the government and passengers, everybody here. Then, with a view to collect more evidence, a search warrants were issued under Section 94 and 96 of the CRPC. Now, from the search warrant, one of the argument before the Supreme Court was here, the search warrant issued on material collected from the offices, it infringes the provisions of Article 20, subclause 3 of the Constitution of India. That is one of the questions that was raised before the Supreme Court, whether the incriminating evidence can be question come. The Supreme Court, a larger bench, took the plea that now when you see the paragraph here, so far as protection of document is concerned, can you just give me 1 minute? I will take one call. You all can hear me now, isn't it? Now, Satish, the paragraph is so far as the protection. You can hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Loud
just
and clear, sir.
see the relevant paragraph. So far as the protection of a document is concerned, so no doubt, Section 136 of the Evidence Act says that a person producing a document on the summons is not a witness, but that section is meant to regulate the right of a cross-examination. It is not to guide the connotation of the word witness, which must be understood. It is natural sense. It refers to ring a person who furnishes evidence. Indeed, every positive violation act which furnishes the evidence is testimony, and testimonial compulsion connotes coercion which procures the positive violational evidentiary act of a person, as opposed to negative attitude of silence or admission of it. Nor it is therefore reason to think the protection in respect of the evidence of confined what transpired to trial and the courts. So then next, the phrase used in Article 20, subclause 3 is to witness or not to appear as a witness. It follows that protection afforded to an accused is so far as it is related to the phrase to a witness is not merely in respect of testimonial compulsion in the court, which may well extend to compel testimony previously obtained from him. It is available, therefore, to a person against whom a formal accusation relating to commission of the offence was being labelled with the normal courts and result prosecution, whether available a person or other situations. Considering this, the guarantee under Article 20 subclause 3 would be available to present case in these petitioner against whom the first information has been recorded as accused, and it would extend to any compulsory process or protection of evidentiary document which are reasonably likely to support the process against him. The question that arises next is whether search warrant to the seizure of such document from the custody of these persons are unconstitutional and illegal on the ground that in effect they are tantamount to compulsion of protection. The Supreme Court in short held that here the protection under Article 20 subclause 3 is available to not only the person who comes and give evidence, but also against whom search warrant is produced, incriminating articles are produced. That means whatever document which the magistrate directs you to produce by search warrant, if they are found incriminating, accused cannot be tried. That cannot be used against him. Is the submission, is the finding of the learned 8-judge bench, which was not approved later on in the subsequent judgment in the year 1961, which I will go through. They relied upon the various authorities here in the matter. In sum and substance, in the 8-bench judgment, the issue was before the court. The incriminating documents which are recovered from the accused person or any person cannot be used against him, and they are protected under Article 20 subclause 3, which contention was negatived in the subsequent judgment. Kindly see the State of Bombay versus Kathi Kaul.
So, but this was the right judgment, no sir? So why was it overruled?
I will do. Then the police will not be. Then what will be the effect of under Section 27 of the Evidence Act? Discovery. Suppose an accused person being in custody makes a statement, I have hidden documents in the chopper में murder करने के बाद chopper छुपाया चुर्री के अंदर and pawn के अंदर गाड़ी के अंदर, and it is found. It's a evidence against him. You cannot say that it is self-incriminating. So that is the bar. That I am coming to it. When you go through the judgment of the Supreme Court in AIR 1961 Supreme Court, check State of Bombay versus Kathi Kalu's case. And this is again 11-bench judgment. 11-bench Justice BP Sinha, Chief Justice BP Sinha, Justice Imam, Justice Das, Justice Gajendra Gatkar, Justice Sarkar, Justice Subba Rao, Wanchu, Justice Das, Raghunath Dayal, Rajgopalan Nayyar, and Justice Madolkar. So they are given a finding in this judgment here. Their finding is the statement by the accused in police custody without anything more does not amount to compulsion. Mere protection of a document or giving information by the accused is not to be a witness. Giving a thumb impression is not to be a witness. Then for protection under Article 23, person must have stood in the character of the accused time of the statement. Like if you use the earlier judgment of the Supreme Court in M.T. Sharma's case, you cannot even give your Aadhaar card. Aadhaar card के अंदर आपका thumb impression दिया गया है. Your footprints are taken over. Then it is a self-incriminating. So the Supreme Court clarified the 11-bench judgment. So where the photographs are taken, a person giving a thumb impression, that under the provisions of that is identification of Prisoners Act, old act, the magistrate gives a direction. The photographs of the accused can be taken. The measurement of the accused can be taken. Isn't it? So they're all evidence. They're all evidence. So they're coming. So when a photograph is taken, thumb impression is taken, and protection of a document also is given under Section 91, 94 CRPC. 94 खोल दीजिए CRPC आपका.
But even legality of Aadhaar was challenged, sir.
Challenge, but it does not hold in view of the judgment of this is the landmark judgment, the State of Bombay versus Kathi Singh, Kathi Kalu's case. Kathi Kalu, AIR 1961 Supreme Court 11-bench judgment is a solid judgment. 1 minute. I will open your
Section
section
90.
64 open kare CRPC ka.
So 64 or 94?
94, I'm sorry. Ek minute. I'll just see open my CRPC.
Yes, sir. It's open, sir.
Just read it out. Just read it out. Read it out section 94, please.
If a district magistrate, subdivisional magistrate, or magistrate of the first class, upon information and after such inquiry as he thinks necessary, has reason to believe that any place is used for the deposit or sale of stolen property or for the deposit, sale, or production of any objectionable article to which this section applies, or that for any such objectionable article is deposited in any place, he may by warrant authorize any police officer above the rank of a constable to enter with such assistance as may be required such place, to search the same in the manner specified in the warrant, to take
Yes.
possession of any property or article therein found which he reasonably suspects to be stolen property or objectionable article to which this section applies, to convey such property or article before a magistrate or to guard the same on the spot until the offender is taken before a magistrate, or otherwise to dispose of it in some place of safely, to take into custody and carry before a magistrate every person found in such place who appears to have been privy to the deposit, sale, or production of any such property or article, knowing or having.
Now you stop. Even documents which have bought forged, fabricated coins, which have been counterfeit coin, they all can be taken custody. So if the accused makes a statement either under section 164 CRPC, or he makes a statement under section 27 of the Evidence Act, or the police pursuant to investigation under section 157 to 167 CRPC. These are all relevant things which cannot be killed. The Supreme Court upheld that here in the judgment of a state of Bombay was Keti Kalu. They cannot be called a statement which are protected under Article 27. So he may not be compelled to be a witness, but he is making a statement. He is making a statement. Ultimately, you have a right to retract it. See, ultimately, the accused person or the lawyer can put up to the investigation officer during cross-examination. What are the questions you must put it as the accused person? Apart from leading your own evidence, in the examination chief, you may take up the plea that here, my lord, the accused person, the confession or the so-called confession, the statement relating to recovery has not been made by me voluntarily. It has been forced upon me. I was under duress. Under duress, the police officer threatened me. He told me he will eliminate my family. Under duress, I made it. So you're retracting it. So not only retraction, when the police officer is giving his deposition, you in the cross-examination, you put it here. What are the questions? Mr. Officer, I put it to you that you have deliberately forced the accused person to sign this document, and you told him that here, unless and until he confesses or makes a statement under duress, you will eliminate his family. This statement recorded by you relating to discovery or relating to incriminating documents are not his willful statement, and you have forced them. So a cross-examination may, this must figure point. You bring it within the ambit of the cross-examination under section 137, 138. 139 mein laenge aap, he will not be a witness. Please note that. He will become only a production witness. A person who produces the document, he is not a witness. When you read section 139 of the Evidence Act. So this will be a job which you will be performing as a young lawyer or a seasoned lawyer in the court of law very scrupulously. When you read section 139, आपको समझ में आ जाएगा. See, cross-examination of a person called to produce document. A person summoned to produce document does not become a witness by mere fact that produces it, and he cannot be cross-examined unless he is called as a witness. Now, Article 20, subclause 3 says that here, no person shall be prosecuted and punished for the same. No person accused of any offense shall be compelled to be a witness against himself. Now you can become a witness. I would like to lead my evidence. Under the scheme of the CRPC, you have a right to lead evidence. So you're retracting your statement. So you have to play a very smart role as a lawyer for the accused person. I put it to you, officer, that you have taken this statement of my client under duress. By you have given him threats of retaliation. You are given threats of eliminating his family. Your statement is absolutely non-voluntary. He never made statement. So making a retraction statement is important. Okay? Remember that. If you want to utilize. Otherwise, the Supreme Court says that here, the pursuant to the statement of the accused person, either under section 27 padhiye of Evidence Act, padhiye please. Open section 27. Ashish sir, padhiye 27.
Yes, sir.
वो padhiye.
How much of information received from accused may be proved, provided that when any fact is...
1 minute. Before understanding 27, you read section 25. Section 25 says, what does section 1 minute? I will take you systematically, chronologically I will take you through. Section 24 ले रहे पहले आप.
So, quick question, sir. 137, 138 में कैसे लेके जाएंगे instead of 139?
You say that you examine after the closure of the defense evidence under CRPC, you have a right to lead your evidence. मालूम ना?
हाँ, sir.
मालूम है ना? ये वो पढ़े थे हमने अपने. Now,
yes, sir.
When you open section 24 of the CRP of the Evidence Act, section 24 clearly tells you what does it tell you? देखो, section 24. Just open your Barak. Confession defined. Confession caused by inducement, threat, or promise when irrelevant in criminal proceeding. Remember this. So you must take up the plea that here all my statements which have been recorded are by virtue of inducement, threat, and promise, and they cannot be taken into consideration. Rule it out. And now read section 25. Confession to police officer not to be proved. No confession shall be proved as against the police officer. Okay? Now you come to section 27. 24, 25 completely prohibits you. Now 27 makes it relevant to some extent. Discovery part. Now you understand 27? Read section 27, please. I will read it for you otherwise. See, how much of the information received from the accused may be proved, provided that the fact is deposed as to discovered consequences. Information received from person accused of any offense in the custody of a police officer. So much such information, whether amounts to confession or not, as relate to distinctly of the fact discovered may be proved. So 24, 25, there's a blanket ban. 27 is opening a window open for you. For the prosecution, if the accused says that, yes, I have committed the murder of the accused, that statement is hit by section 24, 25. 25 says it cannot be admitted. But 27 says that police officer bolega, how did you kill him? With a chopper or a gun? Where is the gun? I have hidden it near in my garden or in some bushes. So police team will lead him there and recover the chopper. So that statement is made recoverable. समझे ना आप? So you can link this statement. Similarly, and a tape record statement in Yusuf Ali Nagari's case and Malkani's case. Malkani was a public servant. He was the coroner of Bombay. He demanded a bribe amount from a doctor to give a favorable report in respect of a death of a person. Autopsy report nahi hua tha. He demanded money. The doctor was a clever man. He reported to the police officers, the anti-corruption, the Bureau of Bombay. So they made him record the statement on a tape record. So tape record evidence against a person is illegally recorded. Now, illegally recorded evidence is now admissible in India, isn't it? Huh? Unlike the American Constitution, which said that here fruits of a poisonous tree cannot be used. But in England, it is used. India, maybe it is used. So, even under the, there is a, which act it is under the provisions of, under the provisions of Telegraph Act, you know that here, under the Telegraph Act, section 25, forbids a person from committing any offenses. Tampering with any telegraph. Telephone tape record is a telegraph. But the Supreme Court said that illegally collected evidence by way of telegraph is admissible. So the accused will take up the plea that statement is against my wishes. That is a compelled testimony under Article 20, subclause 3. That should be discarded. But the Supreme Court disbelieved it because you have not deliberately given this statement and tape record knowingly being recorded, but they were secretly recorded. You are not being, you were not told that your statement is being recorded. You have voluntarily been talking to a person. You are voluntarily talking to your officer, a police officer, a judge, or a public servant, that I would like to give you bribe. Give me certificate in my favor, order in my favor. So that is being recorded by a police officer. A demand was raised in that Malkani's case. R.M. Malkani, he told the doctor, if you want me to give a clean sheet, give me 25,000. 20,000 rupiah manga. In the year 1970 is a big money. Then he reduced the amount to 10,000. 10 ke baad, teesri baar, he again further raised it to 15,000. I had to give 5,000 rupees to the surgeon who will also give report here. ये सब recording हो चुका है. ये recording होने के बाद that man was trapped. Then he took up the plea before engaging a top lawyer, Mr. Misri, old Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said nothing doing. These are all incriminating statements. These are statements pursuant to the provisions of Section 27 maybe. And they don't come under Article 23. I'll come to that here. So,
Sir, two quick questions, sir.
Pulia.
Sir, defense lawyer hai, sir, so how will Section 27 ever come into play? The council will stop him from going there and giving the...
But you prove that. If you prove before the court of law, it is by virtue of the inducement. You take up the plea that here, I never made a confession. It is all concocted. He has planted, the police officer has planted this the pistol. It never belonged to me. Not on my name. किसी और की है. अगर आपके नाम के रहेंगे तो पकड़ जाएंगे आप, definitely. Then you have to give explanation how your own pistol has come there.
Yes, sir.
If somebody's pistol, a chopper लेके लगे गया आप, then you may take up the plea. It is not mine. The police officer has planted it. Planted it, and my statement has been recorded under duress. He gave me threats of intimidation. He told me he'll wipe out my family. He told my family he will give them bribe. And he also told me, don't worry, I will take care of your family. I will give them 10 crore, 1 lakh, 2 lakh. So I made this under inducement. So section 24, 25 of the Evidence Act come into play. If you can successfully prove, by proving that here, my statement is not voluntarily recorded. It is a statement under duress. So आपने section 17 of the Indian Contract Act में पढ़े, in civil cases, cheating by personation. When your contract is void, if it is not with your free consent, it is a ab initio void. So similarly, under the criminal cases, under the CRPC, under the Evidence Act, if your statement is recorded under duress, it is not free, it is not a voluntary statement, and it is falling within the ambit of section 24, 25 of the Evidence Act. It is hit, it is out. But you can be trapped under section 27, provided you are an intelligent lawyer. Immediately make a retraction statement. Karne ke baad, lead the evidence after the closure. Don't say that I will not lead evidence. You must lead evidence to place on record that here my evidence has been planted. I gave it under duress. The so-called recovery is not as per the provisions of law. You argue that here panchas or purchase panchas, section 100 procedure is not capable. The provisions of Telegraph Act has been not complied with. There is a violation of this act here. then not only your evidence in the cross-examination of the other witnesses, you tell them, you put in cross-examination, I put it to you that you have planted these items. I put it to you that you extracted the statement of my client under duress. You have fired him. You have intimidated him. You have told him that unless and until he signed the statement which you brought, he will be eliminated. So this man, under apprehension of a death, he has signed this statement. So there is no evidentiary value. That is how the evidence must be recorded. If evidence is not recorded, you
Sir,
cannot-
but
you
then
cannot-
every
Pardon? Boliye? Every? Hello? 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 Anybody can hear me or not?
Yes, sir, you're loud and
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What is the question? Please
Sir,
repeat.
I don't
Sir-
know if it was me, but your voice was echoing a little bit.
Voice is echoing.
Sir,
Why is it?
sir, actually, I wanted to ask a question, sir.
Yes.
Sir, then every accused will try to use this section and say that the this thing was planted, the chopper was planted, the gun was planted.
It is not, see, it is how the learned judge appreciate. But how the something wrong with my mic. Some is
Yes,
echoing.
sir, your voice is echoing a lot.
What to do then? What is the alternative?
it's okay now, sir. I made some changes. Let's try now.
Yeah, please do that. So, see, you may lead evidence. The learned judge, the trial judge, who is discharging his function as a trial judge, he will go judicially. He will not only look into your statement, he will also go to the statements and evidence produced by the prosecution. He will look at the entire matter before the court. You know that here the court, while appreciating the evidence under section 3, all matters before it. Isn't it? That is how the evidence under section 6, the res geste evidence, fact forming the part of the same transaction. Now section 7, the cause and effect and opportunity and various evidences. The court will see the overall report, the first information report. The court will see the statement recorded under section 161, the statement under section 162, whether they are corroborated or not. If there are more than 2 accused, whether the confession recorded is matching or not. Sufficient corroboration is there or not. Provisions of section 114 A and B are complied with or not. Section 113 is complied with or not. Protection, the judge is asking question. It is a uphill task for a judge. It is not just, but you must be discharging your duty on your part as an intelligent criminal lawyer to place on record before the court that the accused is innocent. When you are appearing for the accused, the prosecution has to prove his guilt beyond reasonable doubt. So your defense is innocent. You may take up the plea that here the dead body has not been produced. Where is the corpus delicti? If the dead body is not produced, what is the evidence that he has killed it? The photographs evidence is not sufficient evidence. It is not a substantive piece of evidence. You may take up the plea that year. And you may take up the plea, the so-called confession recorded under 164, it is not in conformity. The learned magistrate did not ask me question. I objected. And my signature has been taken routinely. You have a right to contradict. You know that section 164 statement, you have a right to corroborate and contradict. Please note that. Whereas the provisions of statement under section 161, they are not substantive evidence. Isn't it? You cannot corroborate, you have a contradict. The prosecution using against you, you have a right to contradict them. You can under section 145 and 146 of the Indian Evidence Act. You may say that this is all blatant lie. These statements, I never made it. These are statements which have been non-voluntary statement. And police officer just cannot rely upon a statement under 166 which are not evidence. They become evidence only when witnesses are put in the box. When evidence is adduced before the court of law. A man come and deposes. Similarly, the Panchanama report, which is recorded under section 100 of the CRPC of the event, photographs taken, suppose your tape record evidence is done, sealing must be done. Everything करने के बाद उसको seal करना चाहिए in the presence of two witnesses. And you may take objection in the cross examination. The what they have produced before the court of law is a unsealed tape recorder. There is a possibility of tampering. They must have raised their portion or must have increased it here. The voice is not identified. It is not my voice. Somebody is trying to imitate my voice. So these are all defenses. You can take it up. Ultimately, it is for the court to take it up. It doesn't mean that the court is going to accept it. The court will see the material before the court. The court will see the conduct of the case. The court will see the circumstantial evidence. The court will see the direct evidence. Court will see the documentary evidence. The court will see the material evidence. The court will see the matters before it. Isn't it? We have discussed everything, all this. So, in a statement, when you want to use Article 20, subclause 3 of the Constitution of India, you must put up before the court of law, my statement has been recorded because I want to be a witness. Now, here the law presumes that you are not going to be a witness. Like section 139 may, you have no right of cross-examination unless you are a witness. A production witness need not be cross-examined. You say that I am not merely a production witness, I am a person who is a witness, I want to depose before the court of law. No judge will decline your cross-examination and examination power, which is your inherent power and right under the constitutional right, both under the provision scheme of the Constitution and the CRPC and the Evidence Act. So you must convert it into, it is evidence. It is not only a mere document. The documents which have been recovered, incriminating document under section 91, 94 CRPC, these are all forged document, fabricated document, planted by the other side with ulterior motives. I never had it. There are many ways you can take it up. You have to do a very deep study. All young lawyers, everybody, all lawyers, even if you become very senior lawyer, you have to work very hard, 16 to 17 hours a day, and read your brief 5 to 6, 7, 8 times and make notes, exhaustive note, and you should know the provisions of each and every provisions of CRPC, Evidence Act, and constitutional law, and the various judgments rendered by the Supreme Court, Privy Council. जब भी आपको ये training मिलेगी है. See that the judgment which I am quoting to you is a very old judgment of the state of Bombay versus Kathy Cooley, that the AIR 1961 11 bench judgment. You must read this. This is the judgment which has upheld the constitutional validity of section 27 of the Evidence Act, and also the validity of the procedure under section 91, 94 of the police collecting document. Now, I will just take you through, run through the judgment, the valuable judgment. Ashish, what is the time? Let me know.
So it's 6:50. You had to go at 7.
6:50. I will wind up at 7:15. Then rest I will take it on even Sunday. I don't mind taking tomorrow evening or Monday. All convenient to both of you. The other two judgment of Malkani and I will just give the brief relation, go through, and we'll discuss it tomorrow, day after tomorrow. So I will just discuss this, a very important judgment, State of Bombay versus Katikulu. So this judgment, see, this came up before the Honorable Supreme Court. Just open it up here. The interpretation of Article 20, subclause 3. The larger bench, the matter larger bench, they are discussing now MP Sharma's case here. Starting with it, these appeals have been heard together only so far as involve the substantial question of law as to the interpretation of the Constitution, with a particular reference to Article subclause 3 of 20. The larger bench was constituted in order to re-examine some of the proposition of law laid down by the court in the case of MP Sharma versus Satish Chandra, that is 54 Supreme Court. Some of the observation the Supreme Court disagreed, and mostly it has confirmed it here. Now, the relevant portion, I will read it here. Paragraph number 2, I will not discuss everything. In the middle, it is an admitted fact that at the trial in the High Court, the question was raised as to the admissibility of specimen writing contained in Exhibit 27, 28, 29. The learned magistrate asked the accused person to give his signature. Now, under Section 73 of the Evidence Act, you know that the court has a power to ask the accused or any litigant to give signature for comparison. Please note that. Whether in the comparison, suppose the accused is denying his statement before the police officer under 161 or in 154. The magistrate has a right to, magistrate or a civil judge can ask the defendant or the accused to give his signature in the open court. Now the signature is given. Now it is there. It is an admitted fact that those specimen writings of the accused have been taken by the police while he was in police custody. But it was now while in custody, if he gives a specimen signature, they are hit by Section 24, 25 of the Evidence Act because they amount to tantamount to confession. Now let us see thereafter what happened. Then it is disputed whether the accused had been compelled to give those writing within the meaning of Clause 3 of Article 20. The plea of the accused that he was forced by the Deputy Superintendent of Police to give those writing has not been accepted by the learned trial judge. But those documents have been excluded from the consideration as inadmissible evidence on the ground that though there was no threat or force or use of police in obtaining this writing from the accused person. Yet in view of the court, the element of compulsion was implicit in being the time of the police custody. So the trial court and the high court took up the plea that year, though the documents which were signed by the accused person making certain admission, or we are excluding it from the purview because there may be some compulsion with regard to it. But the court took the view that they are not hit by Article 20, subclause 3 in the matter. In the middle, see that here, on this fact only, the question of constitutional importance of the bench has to be determined whether the production of the specific handwriting exhibit so and so, the accused could be said to have been a witness against himself within the meaning of Article 20, subclause 3, whether the mere fact that with those specimen handwriting had been given the accused person was in police custody and could by itself amount to compulsion apart thereof. So, when the police officer takes signature, suppose it may be you must have filed a complaint in the police station that the accused has fabricated your signature and the sale deed is forged, bogus, and property got transferred. So the police officer in the police custody takes the specimen signature and finds that the signatures and tells the court these are fabricated. Then not only the police officer must take it, then handwriting expert must be appointed under Section 45 of the Evidence Act, or comparison of the signature can be done by the magistrate under Section 73 of the Evidence Act. Now, when that procedure is completed, now the question before the court, when the accused has given his signature before the police officer, can it be hit the provisions of 29(3)? In that regard, the Supreme Court discusses the issues dealing with this here. I am coming to the main discussion. Paragraph number 5. देखिए आप, the argument at the bar may be classified. You got it? The argument at the bar may be classified as taking three distinct lines. Number one, the first line on one extreme may be said to be taken by Mr. Sikri. Justice Sikri was the Advocate General of Punjab and Haryana High Court, and later on became the Supreme Court judge who wrote the judgment of the Supreme Court in Keshwananda Bharati's case. He was the CJ at the time. Sorry, not the CJ. He was the judge who resigned along with the other judges who was not promoted. Yeah, okay. Then Advocate General of the Punjab, which may be characterized as a narrow review, runs as follows. Clause 3. In view of this setting, it is history that policy underlying the privilege according to the Constitution to an accused person should not be applied to the stage of investigation of an offense. It should be confined to cases of compulsory extraction of the incriminating statement or communication by the accused person. Quote, the express compelled to be a witness being understood as meaning being compelled to give real testimony. It does not include the compulsory protection of document. Similarly, it does not prohibit the compulsory exhibition of document of the body of the accused person or body, or taking of the specimen writing, thumb impression specimen. So these are the argument of Mr. Sikri, the prosecution from the Punjab case, which is said that by giving of the thumb impression doesn't come under Article 23. That is one view. Then the second view, paragraph number 6. On the other hand, the extreme view is an argument of Mr. S.P. Verma for the accused. First, who contended that clause aforesaid Constitution gives complete protection of the widest amplitude to the accused person, irrespective of the time and place and the nature of the evidence. Whether it is oral or documentary or material, the extreme form, his argument runs into another. See, his argument is this way. Anything caused by the kind of threat or inducement to be said but done by person accused or likely to be accused of the offense by non-voluntary positive act, speech of the person, which further the cause of the prosecution against him, which is also a result in the incriminating accused, or any offense, violation of fundamental right under Article 3. Now, this argument is formulated following the judgment of the Supreme Court in the earlier case of the first case, which I just referred to, that is the S.P. Sharma's case. The Sharma's case were similar arguments which were done. Now, thirdly, the Supreme Court said that, paragraph number 7, the third view, which may be characterized as an intermediate view, was advanced by the learned Attorney General appearing for the Union, Mr. Shettlewald. According to him, a person seeking protection under the clause must satisfy all the 4 constituent elements contained in subclause 3 of Article 20, namely 1, he must have been accused person, must have been compelled. Number 3, compulsion must be to be a witness. Number 4, against himself, compulsion, according to him, means coercion, constraint does not include more asking by the police to contain certain things or direction of the court to give thumb impression or specimen writing. In other words, compulsion has to be equated to what has been sometimes characterized as, whatever has sometimes characterized as third degree method or extort confessional statement. To be a witness is an expression which must be understood in consonance with the existent law, evidence and criminal procedure. Example, section 27, Evidence Act, 73 of the Evidence Act, and 94, 96 of the Code of Civil Procedure, though according to English law, the expression. So these are 3 possible views were put before the Supreme Court. Now the Supreme Court, the Honorable Supreme Court, the 9 bench judges, they discuss the arguments here. You may read it here. The relevant portion I will read. Then they are discussing the judgment of Sharma's case. Then the findings I am recording. They are giving the interpretation of what the Kerala High Court has held here, relying upon the earlier judgment of Sharma's case. Then see paragraph number 10 is important. These are the Supreme Court finding in this case. To be a witness may be equivalent to furnishing evidence in the sense of making oral or written statement, but not in the larger sense of expression so as to include giving thumb impression or impression of palm or foot or finger specimen, writing, exposing of a part of a body, any accused person for the purpose of identification. Furnishing evidence in the later sense could not have been within the contemplation of the constitution makers, for the simple reason that though they may have been intended to protect an accused person from the hazards of self-incrimination in the light of the English law in the subject, they could not have been intended to be obstacle by way of efficient, effective investigation into crime and bringing criminal justice. Taking the impression of the parts of the body of the accused person very often come necessary to help the investigation of the crime. It is as much necessary to protect the accused person against him being compelled to be incriminated, to arm agent lawful also courts legitimate source. So here then you can see that here, for example, section 73 of the Evidence Act, 5 and 6 of the Identification of Prisoners Act, Section 5 authorizes a magistrate to direct a person to allow his measurement and photograph to be taken if he is satisfied that it is expedient for the purpose of any investigation, purpose of the court. Meaningless. So in short, the Supreme Court said that here, taking signature of the accused person in the court under section 73 or direction by the magistrate to take the measurement photograph, they do not come within the ambit of Article 23 self-incrimination. And similarly, the documents which have been taken custody of pursuant to search warrant also do not come here. That is the sum and substance here. Then as regard the provisions of Sharma's case, when you come to paragraph number 11, the matter may look at from another view that gives the finger impression of a specimen signature of a handwritten not to be a witness. To be a witness means knowledge so and so. I will skip this portion. I come to directly Sharma's case. We are in agreement with the full bench judgment in Sharma's case with regard to everything here given. Article 20, only oral testimony given by the person accused of a person, but also his written statement, so and so. The accused may have documentary evidence in his possession, which may throw some light on the controversy. If a document which is not his statement conveying his personal knowledge relating to charge against him, he may be called upon by the court to produce that document in accordance with the provisions of section 139 of the Evidence Act, which in turn provide that a person may be summoned or powered that he does not become a witness by mere fact that he has produced it. Therefore, he cannot be cross-examined. Of course, he cannot be cross-examined if he called as a witness. He can be cross-examined if he is called as a witness who has made the statement conveying his personal knowledge by reference to the content of the document. Because he is deposing about the document in his personal capacity, so it becomes a primary evidence or a direct evidence under section 60 of the Evidence Act. So you cannot take away the right of evidence. Then it says that if he gives his statement in the court otherwise than reference to the content document, in our opinion, therefore investigation of this court in Sharma's case of section 139 Evidence Act has no bearing on the connotation word witness is not entirely well-founded law. So the Supreme Court does not agree with the proposition laid down by the 8-bench judgment in Sharma's case that section 139 is outside the purview of the case. So it is well established that Article 20 is directed against self-incrimination by accused person. Self-incrimination must mean conveying information based on the personal knowledge of a person giving information and cannot include merely the mechanical process of producing document in court, which may throw light on any of the point in controversy, but we do not contain any statement of the accused based on his personal knowledge. So if the document is shown that it is as per the personal knowledge, it will become a direct evidence under 60, or it will become a document primary evidence. But if a mere document is produced by the accused person, say for example, after killing the accused person, the chopper I had purchased from one hardware shop is hidden in the bush. वो chopper अभी recovery हो गया. That is it is not a personal thing. It is used in the crime. If the police officer has recovered it, yes. Then similarly, certain documents, yes, myself and my co-accused have lodged the document for registration with the sub-registrar, and we got the property conveyed which belonged to the accused person. Those documents are kept in my office or somebody's office in so and so lodger or bank locker. So because he is not a party to the document, he is only showing the document, incriminating document. So he is not deposing in his capacity as a witness, but there may be a seal of the magistrate. There may be something. So the court says that here, such document if produced, if the magistrate takes a signature under section 73 or the magistrate ordering a measurement photograph, they don't become self-incriminating document. And the observations of the Sharma's case with regard to interpretation under 139 is not correct. Then section 37 के बारे में चेक करो आप, paragraph number 13 में आया. Similarly, during the investigation of a crime, police accused person was to put out the place where the accused delictive was lying and concealed, and pursuant of such information being given, accused person discover is made under 27 of the Evidence Act. Such information and discovery made as a result of the information may be proved by evidence, even though it may tend to incriminate the person giving the information while in police custody, unless it is held that Section 27 of the Evidence Act, they make it admissible evidence as the tendency to incriminate giving. So despite the fact that the evidence relating to discovery will incriminate him, that can be used against the accused person, that the provisions of Section 27 of the Evidence Act were upheld by the Supreme Court in AIR 1960 Supreme Court. The citation is here. You can see that here. The Constitution bench considered this position in the case of state of Uttar Pradesh versus Damon Upadhyay's case. It was challenged under Article 14 of the Constitution, incriminating evidence. Then next page mein aa jaiye. Then in in paragraph number 14, one Mr. Muhammad Dastagir versus the State of Madras, 1963 SCC, the question was, it ran counter to the observation of the full bench. That is, whether the protection under Article Subclause 3 of the Constitution necessary that the statement should have been made by the accused person. So the Supreme Court did not accept this contention here. They overruled it here. Now specifically in this judgment, the Supreme Court has said that here, Section 27 is intra-virus, not ultra-virus. That that I will point out to you the relevant section, how the Supreme Court said that evidence part is admissible as a witness. In paragraph number 23, it says it comes within the meaning of Section 8 of the Evidence Act here. Then concluding, they discuss the American case laws, and which is not necessary for our purpose to go through.
Sir, if we can take the 5 minutes, sir, to discuss what happens when the client walks in.
Yeah, I'm just coming to you. Then counter blast. Then as a result whereof, the Supreme Court held that here, the provisions of Section 27 don't come within the ambit of Section 20 Subclause 3 of the Constitution. That paragraph, I'll point out to you, relevant paragraph. If you can also wave your hand, let me know. I'll point out to you. Otherwise, validity of incriminating statement. That is a paragraph number, 23 in the case. That is a paragraph number 13, paragraph number 13 and 36. 36 में आ जाइए आप. Yes, 36 में आ जाइए paragraph में. I am coming. In criminal appeal number 110 and 11, further question regarding the validity of Section 27 of the Evidence Act was realized. It was said that the recipient of information from the accused person in the custody of the police officer can be under 27 is infringement of Article 20 Subclause 3 of the Constitution when the fact is deposed as discovered in consequence of platform so and so. Now, when you see this here, the Supreme Court said there may be cases where the accused in custody of a compelled to give information later in the 27. There will be otherwise cases where the accused person gives a custody. Where the accused is compelled to give information will be infringement so and so. But there is no such infringement where he gives the information without any compulsion. Therefore, compulsion not being inherent, implicit in the fact of the information having been received from the person, the custody of the accused, and Section 27 necessarily infringes, article cannot be accepted. So the validity of Section 27 as appeal, Now, the only cure the defense for the prosecution is, you must take up the plea that here, my evidence under section 27 is not voluntary. There was a compulsion if under duress. उसके लिए आप क्रॉस एग्जामिनेशन करना पड़ेगा पुलिस ऑफिसर को. I put it to you that you have under compulsion, under duress, you force my client to make this statement. You are deliberately planted this A, B, C, D theory, and which never belonged to my client. And the statements were retracted. And also, you mention in your examination chief, when recorded under section 137 of the Evidence Act, read with the session trial procedure where evidence is read. Okay, that is the thing. Then directly, the section 7 came up for consideration before the two judgment of the Supreme Court in Yusuf Ali Nagari's case, that is AIR 1968 Supreme Court, and RM Malkani's case. This I will take up this on Monday. Okay, on Monday evening I'll take it to you.
Okay, sir.
Anybody
sir.
want to ask me any question? Tell me. I will take up this question. I will take both section 7 and section 8 motive, preparation, conduct, my Monday or Tuesday, depending upon. I will give you tomorrow which day we are convenient. Now, please tell me, Ashish, what is the question?
So when a client walks into a lawyer's office, what are the 3-4 questions that a lawyer should ask the client?
Lawyer should patiently hear his case. Yeah?
Yes, sir.
पहले be a good listener. समझे ना आप?
Yes, sir.
You understand the entire story, what the client says. Don't cross-examine him immediately. पूरा सुन लीजिए and make notes. While making notes, you ask him, have you finished? Okay?
Yes, sir.
Then as a lawyer, you come to know inconsistencies, contradiction, and particulars and dates. समझे ना आप?
Yes, sir.
Then वो सवाल पूछिए आप. Where were you at the time? What is the role you have played? What are the credentials? What were you doing? How these happen? Why there is inconsistency here? Your statement are in the FIR is this way. In the notice you have said something else. And now you are saying differently. So sort out your differences with the client. Just don't put exactly what the client says there. It's a civil case or criminal case. If in a civil case, if he's giving you particulars, I want to evict so-and-so person trespasser, give the full detail. Whether you are a true owner, आपके property conveyance कहाँ है? Who were the owners prior to you? Are there any mortgages created? Are there any lien? What is the right created? When was it came to consideration? Are there any consideration? Why allowed him to stay free of charge? For what purpose? A reason, B reason. Did you pay taxes? Did you collect it? Where the discretionary property? ये सब चीजें. In a criminal offense, is a murder case or a robbery case or a rape case. You see his statement under 161, statement under 164, and the police report, the information given by the police, the remand application, bail application, any retraction is made, when the alibi is taken or not. How are they supporting? Who will support him? Whether the commission of offense होने के बाद, where is the dead body? When was it FIR lodged? Duration of time क्या है? Is very important. The scene of offense से police station कितना दूर है? Whether the witness is a illiterate or literate person, it makes a difference. Whether he is giving a true evidence or false evidence, whether you require corroboration or no corroboration, whether you need to contradict police के statement में ये बयान है, and this is whether the witnesses are known to you, whether the panchas, whether the persons whose statement were recorded under 161, 162, whether they were good friends of you or inimical towards you, what is the motive, what is the preparation, what is the conduct. And ये सब चीजें जानना पड़ेगा आपको. Make a exact notes. While the client is talking to you, don't interrupt him. Let him speak and make a notes. Thorough note. Maintain a good notebook like this, a big notebook like this. Make a notes, everything you believe. His name, his time, he came, statement pura. Now you have the version, even tape record his statement. देखो उसके अंदर statement, point out the discrepancy. Then when you go for a trial, when you're conducting in a criminal trial, you have to visit the scene of offense. In a civil cases, if you're a lawyer, a property is dispute, please make it a point to visit the property. Understand the location, कहाँ पे situate है, कितने rooms हैं, कितने हैं, repairs carry out किए हैं, what are the structural repairs carried out. You appoint an architect, you appoint a structural engineer, take his report because you are not an expert. If you are determining a mean profit value, you examine a valuer. You have the state government ready reckoner ready with you. 5-6 इंक्वायरी करना पड़ेगा, एफिडेविट, ब्रोकर्स को भी पूछेंगे आप, व्हाट वाज द लास्ट सेल डन इन दिस लोकेलिटी. सिमिलरली इन ए मर्डर ट्रायल, हु आर द पंचास, कहाँ के लोग हैं, आर दे लोकल विचास, आर दे परचेज वन फ्रॉम द पुलिस स्टेशन, हाउ फार इट इज फ्रॉम पुलिस स्टेशन, whether the compliance of the provisions of section 100 CRPC, whether the compliance of section article 20 and clause 3 of the constitution. अभी पढ़े हमने, compulsion हुआ क्या है, accused को मारा पीटा क्या है उसके अंदर, statement record क्या, what is the police report, what is the doctor's report, what is the report, are there any chemical analyzer को भेजेंगे कोई report, DNA report and various expert report. When a plan is prepared by the police officer, scene of offense, ये सब देखना पड़ेगा. No, it's a very tedious work and very meticulous work, and you should be done. When a client comes to you, listen to him patiently. सुनते रहो कहानी उसकी without interruption. Then a good listener is always, a good performer later on. You understand the case only when you listen to your client very well. Then you start making your notes. You of course, contradiction you can point out from your own client. You need to cross-examine your own client at the stage of preparation. समझे ना आप? Okay. Anybody
Yes,
has
sir.
any more questions?
Thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure. Anybody
Sir?
has any question? Yes.
Sir, I have a question in regards with witnesses, sir.
जी
When
जी.
a witness is inaccessible or like it's done a recording of his confession or whatever, do they authenticate the voice recording or the voice confession if it is not accessible?
Confession is recorded under section 164 before a judicial magistrate. You know that, no?
Yes, sir, but what about cases where the recording is not done by an official? Is that taken into evidence?
Yes, because a judicial magistrate is a highly respected officer. A memorandum prepared by him is generally accepted by the court because he's a public servant. He's a non-partisan witness. Otherwise, unless you attribute motives to him that the magistrate is known to the accused, is known to the other party, he knows them, or he is acting in a manner which is unbecoming of a magistrate. And I never said this. You retract the statement. You said, I want to challenge it. I want to summon him as a witness. Contradict him and put him in cross-examination all the question. Sanjana?
Okay, sir, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yes.
Sir?
Yes. Anybody has any more questions?
So, yes, sir. Sir, what is the procedure of retracting statement? Like, how do we file it, or where do we file it?
You had to make an application for retraction immediately before the commencement of the trial. ट्रायल शुरू होने से पहले करना पड़ेगा आपको. When the trial is commenced, जब भी नहीं करें आप. Preferably make when you go for a bail application, जब भी कर दीजिए आप. The police officer has recorded my statement forcefully. I was taken to the magistrate forcefully. I never meant this. And whatever statement which have been they are not voluntary. They are not correct. They are under compulsion. They are under duress. I hereby retract them. They are not binding upon me. And they cannot, they may be set aside.
Okay,
And,
sir. Thank you,
yes,
sir.
Yes, they are not binding upon me. Take up the plea then. And it should be preferably made before the commencement of trial, even at the stage of applying for a bail under section 437 and 439 CRPC, you can make the retraction application. और कुछ बोलना है? Or anybody has any more question? So we'll discuss the two leading cases on the tape record evidence admissibility of illegally collected evidence, and the dealing with the provisions of Telegraph Act, especially Section 25, tampering, illegally tampering, whether allowed or not, whether the amounts of infringement, money taken, how the Supreme Court accepts the statement, veracity of the statement, relevancy of the statement, and no erasement has taken place, no embellishment has taken place. I will discuss these two cases relating to Section 7. Then we'll also touch upon Section 8, motive, preparation, and conduct. Ji, boliye.
So Radia TFs will also be part of it or no?
Yes, why not? Why not? We can discuss it.
Okay.
Okay. All the best.
Okay.
Good night. Sorry
Good night.
for today curtailing the lecture.
No, sir. Thank you so much. It actually
Okay.
helped us because we have practical submissions tomorrow. So thank you.
Tell me, when should we take the next lecture? Shall we keep it on
Monday is fine, sir.
Oh, Monday is fine. Okay. Monday.
Yes,
Monday evening rakh lenge. Okay. Bye bye.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. चलो कट स्टार्ट हो गया. चला साहेबा. ओवर